There's that one twice.
Oh, there you
We
go.
picked it up. for
I've never
free,
actually
but-
used it with my charger, so.
We're live, so we're ready whenever. you are.
No,
Let Jessica get online and then we'll go.
the panic. Never used it with the charger, it doesn't work. There we go. Sort of. No. All right, well, I'll use it without the charger to start.
This one will work.
Gotta go the other way. It's okay, you can use.
Yeah,
you
that's-
can use yours.
No, I don't need the charger.
Yeah, just put it in upside down. Little twist,
Okay, well.
just mention. You know all that, guy?
It's, yeah, you have to have that back.
I actually shut mine off
But
because
that
it
should
makes
work
me
with the
mad
charger.
when I'm reading something and
To
it
see
just
how-
twists a little bit and it.
Oh, yeah, you can turn that, when I was had working.
Yeah, I shut that
Better,
off.
yeah.
But
It at
if
least
she
should
was
be
having
slower.
trouble with it, you could turn that on. I sent an email yesterday and the guy sent me a message back and told me that he didn't get it. I said, well, I sent it yesterday, I sent it this morning. And I just sent it to you.
Are we done?
Well, I said, Scott, can you send that for me?
Call the July Town of Hector Audit Meeting to order. Please rise and we'll recite the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Right, I'll make a motion to approve minutes for June 10th, 25.
A second.
We have a first and a second. Any questions or comments about the minutes?
It's on the Smith Park pole barn. It looks, the way it's written, it looks like the cost of the pole barn.
I added,
20,000.
no,
I
no, I-
already commented on this with Jane and
I added,
Cost of.
that at a cost greater than 20,000
Yeah,
units of full
okay,
bid.
because I didn't
So-
want people to look back and go, what?
Yeah.
Yep.
I fixed that.
Thank you.
any other questions or comments? Hearing none, all in favor? Aye. Anybody opposed? Okay, the motion carries. Next up, we have some journal entries, budget amendments. At the last board meeting, we approved paying the contractual requirements for the elections at 3 sites for both last year and this year. Now we need to fund that. So we're going to transfer $1,800 from A 1990.4 contingency to A 1450.4 elections contractual. And then we had approved some money last year for our generator for the highway department, and it didn't get installed last year, so that money went back into fund balance. So now we're going to move some money from fund balance to A 5132.4 for the garage contractual line, because getting the generator up and running sucked up all the money that we budgeted for garage contractual this year. So it was funded for last year. It didn't get spent. It got into the fund balance, and so we're just moving it back to the same line. And on a quick note, we did have our generators kick in for the first time this past week.
How'd they work?
There was a little possible snafu here at the town hall, but we think it's
There was like a 3-minute delay before it turned on. I'm not sure if it was because it was flickering or it was like a prolonged brownout prior to it going all the way out. But if it happens again, I'll contact Generac. I did a little research after Justin and I talked, and sometimes they are set for a 3-minute delay, and
Just in case the power comes back on.
yeah, they said especially a lot of times geographically, like when they produce the generator and send it out, if it's a region that experiences more frequent blackouts or brownouts, whatever, they program it for a little bit longer time. They said some are even factory set to 15 minutes. But if we need, if it is in fact set at the 3 minute, we can work with Generac to adjust it to be less. So that they're factory set anywhere from 15 seconds to 25 minutes.
Okay. Well, good
Needs,
job doing
needs,
that project.
needs to be quicker because it trips the alarm and you can't see where the alarm box is to
Gotcha.
stop the
Huh.
horn blowing, so it needs to be quicker.
Okay.
Last meeting, we agreed to pay for some trees to be removed from Mac Park for safety reasons. And to fund that, we're taking money from fund balance in A, so we're gonna transfer $7,695 from A 599 fund balance to A 710.407 Mac Park contractual. We went over our budget for dumpster days, so we're going to move $1,389.76 from A 1990.4 contingency to A 8160.41 recycling and town cleanup. The next one is a big one. It's for $237,453.56 for oil and stone. This is the balance after we use what was left on our budgeted line for oil and stone. We all know that we had significant road issues this year. And we're going to, over the past 5 years, we've accumulated about $260,000 in fund balance from not fixing the roads as well as we could have. We had a 5-year balance of $91,455 in contractual dust oil. We had a $69,600 balance from the road sealing line, and we had $105,000 balance from contractual regular maintenance. And so my belief is we fix the roads and we use the money that taxpayers have already paid into the town of Hector. So we're taking the $237,453.56 from DB 599 fund balance to DB 5110.42, which is the general road repairs. That makes sense?
The DB has to go to DB.
DB has to go to DB.
Can't go to DA.
Nope. They all have, and we're gonna we're gonna be making one more transfer after paving because we do have some we're pushing the limits on the paving, but we still have quite a bit of fund balance from, like I said, what taxpayers have paid in and we didn't expend, and so we're gonna use it where we need it, which is the road repairs. And I don't think anybody in the room will contest that we needed some road repairs this year. And that's all of my budget amendments for today.
So make the motion to approve the budget amendments.
Second the motion.
We have a first and a second. Does anybody have any more questions or comments? Hearing none, all in favor of the journal entries and budget amendments? Aye. Okay, motion carries. We need to pay some bills too.
You make a motion to pay the bills as audited.
Second.
We have a first and a second. Any questions on the bills as we've audited them? Hearing none, all in favor? Aye.
I'm
Anybody?
abstaining from general 185.
Okay. All right, motion carries. We do not have anybody here from the Schuyler County Legislature, so we're going to skip the updates for this week. And it is now 7:09, and I'd like to open this up for public comment, 10-minute period. If you are a resident, just please let us know where you live and what your name is. Sir?
My name is Dave Quinn, I live in Mecklenburg. And to the town board and the highway supervisor, what is the protocols on how you decide what roads get blacktopped?
Generally, we use road counts. A lot like the roads we did this year were roads that were already in process when I took over and we just finished them out. They were ditched and had gravel on them and. But mostly, I mean, from here out from what I got, I just plan on doing road counts.
Because the reason I'm asking is because I noticed you blacktop Pittsburgh Road from 79 past Burton Road, or 1/8 of a mile. And then you also blacktop the last half of Havens Road all the way up to Burton Road. Now, I live on Schuler Road, and I've lived on that. I lived there 42 years, I finally got it regraded. My question is, in the future, are we gonna finish blacktop in Schuler Road from the Schuler residence where they ended blacktop? 3/4 of a mile to State Route 79, because on Havens Road, there's one house. On Fitzgerald Road, there's a mile, about a half a mile up road. There's the old Fitzgerald farm, there's a house there, until you get around Man's Corner.
The traffic counts with the trucks and everything on there. Are higher. As far as, like I said, we had the ditching done, the gravel was on, it was already in place before I started. Havens Road I did because we were gonna lose it. It was gonna go back to dirt, or we were gonna have to do something with it. It was breaking up terrible. That was my choice.
Someday we plan on paving Schuler Road, hopefully, fixing the bridge, but.
Well, because the north end of Schuler Road from Schuler's residence to 228,
Still stone well.
it's going to hell. And every year you put a patch job on it. And it just comes back. And then when you go to fill the potholes, you always manage to fill the potholes after we've had a flash flood and the potholes have water in it. And I guess, I don't understand the paving. I sat where these guys sat for 12 years. I know the cost is pretty high, but I'd like to consider on the north end of Schuler Road, that finished up. And okay.
Yeah.
Now I got one more thing I want to bring up.
Please.
And this is a future of the town of Hector. And have you guys been approached by Bedrock for windmills?
Yes.
You have been approached.
They sent out some communication, and Jason and I sat with a representative, and they have an exploratory research windmill up. Or
Yeah, they're in the, they may have just finished installing it. It's a meteorological research tower that's gathering,
Yeah.
wind speeds.
Carter County has been approved. And I know 10-15 years ago, they put a test tower across from my house on that hill. And it was there for 4 or 5 years, and I never heard anything about it. It took it down. That hillside has been approved. Now, if I can remember correctly, number one, these pipes come out of China, okay? They stand 600 feet in the air, okay? I'm not sure, I'm pretty sure when I sat on the board, I may be wrong. But when I sat on the board, the cell towers come effect. And people in the town of Hector, they raised a whole cane about it, because the birds are gonna run into them, blah, blah, blah. And I think, if I remember correctly, they put a restriction on the height.
Yes,
Yes.
we have a 12 structure.
we have a trial structures. There is a loophole, however, is depending on how these companies move forward, it applies to the the solar panel farms as well. Is if it's a large enough project and the state becomes involved, it becomes a utility Article 5, and we lose our laws are overridden. The state has jurisdiction over it.
I think this is something we really need to stay on top of. Because I know that hillside across my house is gonna have. I'm pretty sure you've been approached by it.
Yeah, and some of the things that the town has done to kind of keep as much in check, and as much notification as possible. As it was about a year or so ago, they opted out of real property tax law 487, which would, so the way utilities work, or the way some of these larger farms work, is they can send a postcard to the towns, the way the law is written. And they basically, that's their notification. But when you opt out of 487, they have to involve the IDA right off the bat, as well as the town, to communicate like how they're going to what type of tax is going to be assessed, things like that. So it gets, the biggest thing that helps with is the communication. But again, the size that they're talking would be a full-scale utility. And typically the state will look at the local laws and do their best, but they don't typically completely deny a project based on.
This gentleman that comes to my house. He's representative. And these people have called me twice. This gentleman is on the card, has come to my house.
This person is associated with them or a different group?
And I told him, I said, you need to go to the board meeting.
I've met with this gentleman. He came to the office here. I met with him and I shared our tall structure law. We are actually in the process of rewriting the tall structure / telecommunications law to update it to try to address many of these concerns. But I have spoken with him and I have shared all of the current legislation that we have on the books.
Because he asked me when the board meetings were, and I told him, it's the second Tuesday going.
Yep. But like, that was probably about a year and a half ago that I met with him face to face. And so I appreciate your concern. I agree, but and we are trying to address.
There's been a problem about this.
It's an interesting, this one in particular is Bedrock. We've had some interesting feedback as to who has been. You're not the first person to come to us and say, why are we getting this letter? In fact, didn't we have somebody receive a letter that was addressed to the town of Hector, but it went to a resident?
It wasn't addressed to town of
I thought
Hector. It was addressed to them, but they didn't know whether the town knew anything about it, and
Somebody
somebody up
approached
on
me,
Coates Road.
someone asked me about it and they said that they had gotten a letter in the mail. However, they only own a half an acre on the lakefront. So they were confused, like, why would? I was like, that's a good question.
Well,
Why would you get that?
And the letters, cards that are going out say there's a project east of Seneca Lake. Well, if it's been approved somewhere somehow, who's it been approved by?
Yeah.
That, because nothing's been
Nothing's
physically
come through
brought
to
or
us.
to the town.
I actually got a booklet. And it tells you supposed to benefit the roads, the tax base, the jobs. And any normal person would know if you're gonna stick a windmill out in the Timbuktu. It ain't gonna create, the only job it's gonna create
No.
is when they're doing the job. After that,
And they're not gonna be locals then. At that point in time, it's gonna be their specialists.
it's, I just wanted to know.
No, I appreciate
Yeah.
that, and well, happy to share more as I see more. If you get more information, please share with us.
Oh, well,
Dave, were they presenting you a contract or anything, or
they asked me if I was interested, and I said,
okay, so they were interested in getting rights to your land or something?
No, I think they're
Well-
looking for community support.
what
Oh,
happens?
okay.
Well, also,
Mhm.
they throw at you that, because if they put the windmills across the top of the hill across from my house, I can benefit from it,
Mm-hmm,
money wise,
mm-hmm,
because it's like when you had your gas leases.
mm-hmm.
If that pipeline ran on, Mike drilled and it ran underneath my land, well, I had,
You didn't have to
Access.
have the pipeline on your land, anybody
Right.
around the radius of the well got benefits. from the
and that's
well.
what they're saying, and it's like,
Yeah, that was a radius of 1 mile when it came to gas wells.
okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Jonathan.
Jonathan Stein, Thursday, just tries to support Dave's point of view. I can recall driving D13 on Shula Road 10 years ago and couldn't see a yard ahead of me. It needs to be properly treated. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, if there's nothing else, I'm gonna close the public comment period at 7:20. let's move on with our agenda. Next up is Highway Superintendent's report.
No, wait.
No.
Sustainability.
Sorry,
Skip
Ann.
Ann.
Maybe I'll just leave my glasses on.
I wouldn't let him skip you, Ann.
Maybe work on a buy local campaign. Talk to you about this before. We are going to be reaching out to people to see what kind of interest areas we're intending to focus on food, agricultural products. And we know informally, we're a couple of dozen farms, farm stands, businesses that provide agricultural products. Maybe we'll be interested, so we'll be reaching out to them. Patrick and our consultant would love to come up with a logo. The committee hasn't even seen yet, so you can see, I thought it would be good.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool.
I thought, cool.
With feedback from you guys on.
I like it.
Okay. And then,
I'll hold it in front of the camera and have it.
oh yeah.
Yeah. There we go.
So we would kick it off again, like I said, with food, looking at, because that is more, has more of a sustainability focus than graphs, but we think they're adding those later. We're also working on a water quality and Hector code form, so our very own Jason and the county watershed inspector have agreed to provide a forum on October 15th. Time and details on the agenda would be arranged later, but the idea is that it would educate the town residents about septic systems and how to install them, who can install them, how to maintain them, what happens when they go bad. Grants that are available for some people to pay for half of your septic system replacement. And then there could be an additional speaker talking about water quality. Again, I should have more details on this by the next town board meeting, and then I would ask for your approval to have such a meeting.
And we were curious if it'd be okay to stream it with the town's Zoom.
Yeah.
That makes
I
sense to me.
think it makes sense.
Yeah,
So we talked about maybe.
So have it here.
no, I mean, we could just stream it.
Yeah, wherever.
Oh,
We talked about maybe offering snacks to encourage people to come. Encourage as many people as we could get to come and learn about.
Or make some toilet shaped cookies or something.
Yes. And then the only other thing I have is at our last meeting, we had somebody from the Montour Falls Sustainability Committee come and talk to us about all the good stuff they're doing. And she did mention they've got some new EV chargers in Montour Falls. They have level 3 chargers on West Main Street, level 2 chargers at the marina. They were all provided from grant money, and of course, we have some that are going into Smith Park also from grant money. And the level 2 charger is free to use. And the level 3 charger costs 15 to 30 cents per kilowatt hour. Do you have any idea when those are gonna go in to the system? Liz probably knows more about it than I do.
I was gonna put it to Jason. I'm pretty sure it seems like we're waiting for NICEAG to approve our, is that right? Or do you know more?
From what I can tell, they, once that email went out today, that says that, you know, that things are in process on NICEAG's and
Nice.
so the contractor will be installing them. We'll work with NICEAG on like a disconnect day and a transformer installation. So really, it's kind of in the hands of the contractor and the NICEAG engineer to really work out the final details on like whether it'll be a pad mount transformer or another transformer on the pole next to the existing lights.
I was glad you knew because I got that email today. I was like, why would we need an electrical inspection? They haven't done anything. It sounds like, oh, thanks.
Yeah, so that'll be once everything's installed, they'll have the electrical inspector come out. And that basically tells NICEAG it's okay to turn the power on to the chargers.
Cool.
So do we have that campsite open on CampSpot right now?
No, not now. It was only open for 4th of July
Oh,
weekend.
okay.
Yeah, we've been keeping, but with 4th of July, since we were booked up totally, I suggested that we open it
Yeah.
until
Right.
at least for the long weekend when we're overbooked.
It could be an overflow if
Uh-huh.
they're still not doing it yet.
Which it did sustain 2 bookings for the period of time that it was open.
That's
so
great.
Nice.
It's
Thanks.
kind of not the nicest campsite, huh?
It's not that bad.
It's just well traffic. It has,
I know, it's just kind of.
thank you. All right, let's try this again. Highway committee or highway superintendent's reports.
All right, well. We've been a little slow this year, but we're still working on dust oil. The weather's been bad and now everybody's in a rush and we're having a real hard time getting dust oil, and I think we have like 14 roads left to do.
But they are all going to be done. That's important
It's
to
just a
confirm.
matter, we're supposed to have several trucks on Thursday, but now it's talking rain, so we'll see what happens, but we're having a hard time getting them. Our main roads, we have finally got graded, and probably by tomorrow, all the seasonals on the mountain up here will be passable again. Fitzgerald's passable, we put gravel on it, it's not what you guys had planned, but we got the pipes covered and the ditching done, and you can at least drive down.
We used that when they didn't have a partner, I think we actually helped it.
You couldn't have hurt it any.
You switched everything down.
Backed it all down with the tractor.
Huh.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's better than it was when me and Justin went out.
It looked like a stream bed.
Pretty bad.
So you mean Burn Hill and Mark Smith as far as?
They're on Mark Smith at the bottom right now.
Yeah.
But they've been out Burnt Hill, we've taken several loads of gravel to Matthews Road. Put gravel on Fitzgerald. I mean, it was bad. So. We got our stone oil done this month, got some of the paving done. Still have a couple little projects left and mowed cemeteries for the 4th of July. Mowing roadsides. And we've been working on ditches, culverts, gutters. Several storms coming through. It's just been never ending. Every week. That's something.
I think it's important. We recognize that the highway department has been really bust and hump because of this bad weather. They've had to fix certain things multiple times because they get it repaired and we have another, 3-inch rainstorm that comes all in an hour and it washes
Yeah.
out repairs or washes out things mid-repair. So some of the work is not as far as long as we'd like to see it, but they've been scrambling to just keep us and get us to where we are.
They've
So
all been working.
you guys have been doing a great job and we all appreciate it
Yeah,
because
please give the guys our thanks, yeah.
we
Can I
have,
ask a question?
yeah, sure,
for
please,
you?
please.
Scott, a tree down on Potomac Road across one lane, that's the Forest Service, or we do the actual tree cutting?
We do.
Okay.
Yeah, Scott went out.
You
Did
got
you go out and do it?
I had a couple guys.
Yeah, I knew you had gone out last
I
night.
texted you, man. I told you I'd
Yeah.
take care of it.
Yeah. I tried moving it. I moved
It was
2
big.
trees.
They said by the time they got there, there was 3 of them.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I moved 2 trees, south of that. They're on the shoulder now. They were, across the road, but small enough to move. And then that one I stopped and I was like, okay, I wasn't still attached. And then 2 other cars stopped.
It's-
All 3 of us are out there trying to pull it and I'm like, oh, no, this one's not. fun."
Anything that's
It's
been
bigger than it
around,
looks.
if you
Yeah.
leave it, just push it off the edge of the road, and the guys with the permits, they don't last long.
They just come and clean it
Yeah,
up.
they do. We have some big ones up there, we might have to throw them in a dump truck and take the landfill or something, because nobody's cut on them, but if you get those ones that are, 8-9 inches, they don't last long. You just shove them off the edge of the road and they'll clean them right up.
That's cool. Huh,
They don't have to go out in the woods and get.
Yeah, it's easy. Yeah.
everybody benefits, out of the road,
Yeah.
firewood.
And we do have one other item under there, and Jonathan, I'd like you to present what you'd like. We have a long-standing conversation about our Welcome to Perry City sign. And it'd be great if we could finish this up so we can move to the next step. tonight. So do you want to say a few words and
Sure. Got an email from Patrick Clarity, from our metal outfit, sign outfit. Got the quote for 60 by 30-inch oval sign with reflective vinyl and laminate. Please let me know if you have any questions. And quote came to was .080 aluminum sign, laser cut to 60 by 36 oval, single sided with full color digital print on reflective 3M 680-10 with outdoor laminate. And the text that he had was welcome to Perry City, sacred land in town of Hector, obeying the Constitution for centuries. So this is a little mock-up of what that might look like. Let me pick a few in passing.
Sure.
Same. Thanks. So, I have it from the state that they approved the sign. They approved the language. They just need a mock-up. They need an illustration. This is fairly close to what they're looking for. Ordinarily, I would say there's nothing controversial about the Constitution. I mean, if you had asked me 5 years ago why I mentioned the Constitution, I would just say, it's not necessary, but it seems like people are having issues with parts of our Constitution. I don't know, it seems appropriate for my folks that we've been obeying it for a long time. The other thing is, well, very briefly, Prairie City is this waypoint between the two lakes. And for a long, long time before you and I came, we were Native Americans that walked back and forth. Probably took a break at that creek in Teganic, and then they probably put their tents up somewhere in Prairie City. So how you treat the land there is symbolic of what we should be doing with sites that have meaning to many people. And Mike DeMunn thought that this was good language. Mike DeMunn's a senator. I worked with him on it. It just seems like the welcome sign, the folks who are not primarily coming from the east, is appropriate. The sign would be visible to everybody stopping at the four-way stop. It would be set back about 25 feet from the road edge. It's on the state right away, and that's why the state has to give us a permit to put it in.
All right. Thanks.
Can I just ask the question, how do we have statutory authority to make improvements or disapprove of the sign? If it's on state land, I'm just curious, I don't know the process here.
We'll be paying for it.
Oh, because the town will pay for it.
And the town also is currently the leasing the parcel that it would go on.
Even though it's state right away.
Okay, yeah.
It's our land.
So the budget was for $400 on this sign, and the cost on this
not counting the tax, was 332.
Which we wouldn't have to pay the tax if the town pays for it.
So it comes under budget. And that would include aluminum, oval aluminum posts that would be attached to breakaways in the ground. Because the state requires us to be able to provide breakaway conditions as well. And hopefully Scott will be willing to help us install it.
Is it within the state's 25 foot? Get them installed. We could probably get it done.
Yeah.
Just gotta dig safe.
I would like to mention that in passing that the state is working on the roads, as you know, on Perry 227 this week. And they repaired the dirt passage at the Perry City Park.
Oh, wow.
At our request. So that's all taken care of, we gravelled in all the potholes and, you know, with a leveler. So it, plus the transition to the highway is now gravelled too. So it's a much better shape than it's been for 5 years. So that's off our list. We don't have to do that.
Jonathan, can you say how big these letters are? It feels a little verbose for such a small sign. You said it's 36 inches tall.
The sign is 36 tall, and the top row of letters, welcome to Perry City, is 4 inches high for the capital and 3 inches high for the remaining letters. And then sacred land in town of Hector, all the rest of that text will be in 2 to 2.5 inches high. So the primary message is welcome to Perry City. That, I mean, even without, trying, you're gonna be able to see welcome to Perry City.
This is also very minor, but I think grammatically we should be sacred land in the town effector, not in town effector, which does add more words to it. But
I agree, but I just tried to minimize the number of letters. So if it can be done, I'm in agreement.
I don't agree with the wording, I don't like that. I could see something like Heartland, Town of Hector, and Finger Lakes, but not the rest of it, that's my opinion.
I kind of feel the same way. I feel like it would become a contentious subject. I mean, even the sacred land in town of Hector, there's actually quite a bit of sacred land in town of Hector. So then I feel like other people might be like, well, we're sacred land too.
Yeah, I feel like I'd like to see a less wordy welcome to Perry City sign as well.
What suggestions do you have?
What about just welcome to Perry City with a larger letter? Because, I mean, 4 inches is still not very big when you're going by at 40 miles an hour.
Well, there is a 4-way stop.
I guess that's true, yeah.
You hadn't better be going for it.
You better have good brakes to do that.
But I mean, 25 feet off the road,
Right.
Especially because
You
it's
know,
4 inches is very tall.
isn't very tall for 25 feet away. I mean, what about just welcome to Perry City? And then if there's an establishment year, maybe it could say that, established. You know,
I like what you
1805.
said about the midpoint between the lakes.
Yeah, that'd be nice.
I mean, that's sort of interesting to people are out there and they're like, oh, okay, so I'm halfway between the two big lakes, and
Well, I think we should minimally also have town of Hector on there. Welcome to Perry City, town
town
of
of
Hector.
Hector
And say midway between the lakes or
or something like that. And I feel obeying the Constitution for centuries is obvious. Yes, we're obeying the Constitution. That's what we do, we're an American town in Perry City. I don't think it needs to be put on a sign like this, personally. But
Or even something I'd be more comfortable with, welcome to Perry City, town of Hector. Respecting history and tradition, or respecting tradition and history, something like that.
I really like midway between the lakes. I mean, that does seem very interesting historically. I just worry that we get too many words. You know, I would be more in favor of less words with a bigger font, especially as I'm finding fonts to be smaller than they used to be. I just think, you know, at 2 inches, people aren't gonna see those letters from 25 feet away.
Do you have a committee that's working on this? Just you?
Well, I guess, Dan Lee and, Bob, they liked the text that I suggested. I mentioned my phone and I came up with these words. So it wasn't just me cooking.
I was wondering if you wanted to go back and try to come up with it again, but following our suggestions, bring it back. So I don't think as of right now, you're gonna have board approval to have that sign built. I'm not hearing without a formal solution.
Well, it'd be nice to get this movement done.
But you did say to yourself about when you talked about this language, that it is a little politically loaded. And I think that's what we're all having a little bit of an issue with. And I think for something that is as simple as a sign for a great place, that we do need to put the politics and the division aside. And I get the intention of this, but I do see how this is gonna rub people the wrong way.
Yes. I agree.
Okay, well. I didn't come here to insist on this language or have a hissy fit. Would really like to, if possible, clarify what you think is a workable
How about
text and get it.
welcome to Perry City, town of Hector, midway between the lakes, or midway between. Just throwing it out there, midway between lakes. Thoughts? Just to start a conversation.
What is the reason for the sign, other than to say it's Perry City? Isn't there a sign already and says Perry City?
No.
There isn't.
No, it's a sign, it's a state sign on 227 eastbound. It just says Perry City. This is a sign.
because there's a park, a little park
This is-
there.
This is
It's to help
welcoming.
like supplement the little park that's there, and people come to the park and. That's what the sign, right? It's kind of a.
This is welcoming people in
Yeah.
this community,
Mhm.
okay? It's not just telling them. This is just Perry City. Originally, it was just gonna say. Welcome to Perry City, town of Hector, Starlight County, but I just think things have changed. So,
But I think, things will change again, and you want the sign to be relevant in 5, 10, 20 years.
I sure hope we're still obeying the Constitution 5, 10, or 20 years. I don't know about that. I hope I'm around long enough to see us do it. I really don't know.
I like the idea of having an established date for Perry City, I'm sure.
I like that too.
Uh-huh.
Welcome to Perry City, town of Hector, established whatever date.
Well,
that's
the
pretty-
Hamlet wasn't formally established, but I know.
Settled and,
Well, town of Hector was established in 1802.
yeah, well, and Perry
Yeah,
City
that
was.
couldn't
but I
use
don't know
that
where
number.
it's
They
in.
couldn't use that number. But I can say that that building that I currently reside in is from 1843. So I'm pretty sure that instead 1843, we can cover it. That's a schoolhouse.
I like settled in, because people started
Yeah.
living there.
And I think it actually has
Well,
a
white
date.
people started living there. I mean.
Is there a
it's
date in the comprehensive plan?
That's what I was
Yeah, so I
just
just
looking
read
up.
it, yeah. There was a date in there. I don't know what it says, but
Well, and I don't know who
Yeah.
where,
we'd have to
where the date
verify-
in that came from, so.
Yes, we'd have to
Um,
verify things, but. I really like the idea, just welcome to Perry City, town of Hector, established.
Settled.
Settled.
I like settled better than established. Maybe we could do a quick,
Well, to be fair, so
yeah,
people lived here before.
true,
Yeah.
true, very true,
Yeah.
fair, okay, established. Established,
You think about that, man?
Established? I was fine with the established area. I don't think that settled can be controversial.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They'll say I lived there.
Yep.
Yeah.
Sure.
The town was, it was established as a hamlet at some point in its life.
We just need to verify that.
I was just,
I wonder if we call it,
here's what the
Our town
comprehensive plan
historian might
says.
know.
Perry City is a hamlet near the eastern town line by Route 227. It's home of the Ice Age drumlins, which are gravel deposits left as the glaciers disappeared. A diorama of the drumlins is featured in the Museum of Natural History in New York City. This diorama is known as the Cottontail Group. This is the site of archaeological finds, including human remains, fire pits, and evidence of Native American ceremonies. Includes a village and burial site south of Perry City. In 1916, 3 fragments of a clay pot or jar were found. In 1922, several other items were also found. These items were donated to the Cornell Anthropology Collection. A Quaker cemetery located on the land is now privately owned.
So no date.
so
That's what it's.
my thought is, we could call the town historian. And if need be, the Schuyler County
Historical Society.
Historical Society.
Somebody's
and
gotta have
see a
information.
date, get a date out of that, and then we move forward with. The Welcome to Perry City, Town of Hector, established. Yeah, TBD, and I'm happy on Thursday to call these 2 individuals. And see what we can get,
Move forward with that.
yeah,
Well, I would make a motion to approve the Perry City sign with the cleaned up language and with the date that we're gonna get on Thursday.
and so that we're all in agreement. Welcome to Perry City, Town of Hector. Established in the year. We're all on, okay, just I want to make sure,
The only thing I'm thinking, just not to throw, is that it. If it says Perry City, town of Hector, established. I don't know if it'd be better to say Perry City established and then town of Hector and get into the, just because it might be confusing, I think town of Hector is established, but it's kind of a moot point, you know, it is, I mean, it's not that important, but it's just one of those things that.
I think it's
To
obvious.
consider
I would-
how it's laid out.
Well,
Yep, I would agree that putting it, welcome to Perry City, established in the year.
Yeah, I also.
Is
agree.
gonna tie it to Perry City, but then, you know, town of Hector.
okay,
So you're basically welcoming everybody to Perry City and the town of Hector.
So the established part would come.
On the
before
very
in the middle,
In the middle.
a 3-line sign would be very easy to read. and
yeah, we
see
could go a little
and-
bit bigger with letters.
Yeah,
Yeah, they could be 8 inches, maybe even, or 10 inch, I mean, they could be much bigger.
yeah, I don't wanna make the sign any smaller,
Yeah,
but
okay,
Anthony started a resolution or.
Yes, Anthony made it. Somebody
Got a
needs to
second, 'cause
second
he
it.
never finished, cut him off, so.
I'm really
Sorry.
offended.
so we have a motion,
I'll second it.
there's a second, we have a first and a second, so this is when we should be
Up to a
discussing.
dollar amount?
Well, we had passed in the past, last year, I think it was up to
Yeah.
$400, so
Yeah.
we have come in well under that, thank you.
It doesn't change.
If, I'm assuming it's not gonna get any more expensive, because less words and same size.
They don't charge by the words anyway, they charge by the letters, the size of the sign and the materials you're using.
Right.
Cause it's just a print on them.
So we'll say, okay, but let's just say, we'll maintain. we
Not to
approve-
exceed
Not to
400.
exceed $400.
Yeah.
All right, any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Aye. Thank you, Jonathan,
Well, thank you.
and feel free, once I find some numbers, I'll get in touch with you and we'll,
I'd like to have that as soon as possible.
Yes.
So I can get this one to the state, so they can keep us. And I've got, I got a load of wood chips. So that we can put a bed
Around
around
it.
the base of that sign and
That'll be
put
nice.
more chips. Around the flower beds there too.
Thank you for your effort.
Thank you very much.
I appreciate your push to recognize Perry City.
I do want to add to, like, the sense of community over the last year in Perry City is really, it's been 6 months since I've had to write a letter about stuff being left in the park. It just looks great. The one person that was leaving all the stuff there is making sure it's mowed regularly. It's starting to look like a community park, so I think that should be recognized, and that's everybody that's come together down there. That's great to see.
Thanks.
Yep.
All right. Smith Park.
Okay, first off, I'll just start by saying that we were just about entirely full 4th of July weekend. So that was nice. We were really busy. And then we'll go into some quotes. We have 2 quotes for sheds. A shed that we would like to place down at the swim beach for our swim lifeguard equipment, chairs and things. Hopefully it would be maybe big enough to store a mower or a gator in the winter time. So we're hoping to purchase or have something built like that.
Are you doing concrete pads for those?
Don't think
Sheds?
no.
No. So just a quick, if we've discussed this at the park committee, there is an existing shed there that is sort of,
Doesn't it not have a roof?
well, a portion of,
Yeah, there's a good picture.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, I know that you can see something sticking out of the top of it.
It-
That's our
Yeah,
old
that's
rescue board.
Yeah, that's gonna go sideways.
There's a shed without a roof and
The
then
new
a shed
one
with a
is
roof.
first.
Oh, we would get rid of that.
Yeah.
We'll get rid of both these. right?
yes,
And we put one bigger shed.
one shed that everything will fit in, and the shed to the right is not as solid as it looks. I think it looks more solid than it does because of you comparing it to the one to the left. It does, that was actually built out of, it started life as a lifeguard chair and got turned into a shed that they put the board in now.
The little shed might not ever have a chance of getting back up out of there in one piece, is what you're saying?
Yeah,
Pretty much.
Could be firewood?
probably.
You want it?
No, I don't wanna go down and try to get it off the beach, you can't drive on it.
These paddle boards are
That's our back,
That's our-
that's our, oh, over here,
over here.
that I
It's a
don't know.
rescue.
Not paddle board, but it
The
looks like a,
It's like a little rescue. It's all lifeguard stuff.
oh, that's
Yeah.
all, okay,
Rescue boat.
oh, okay.
Yeah.
What size shed I'm talking?
It was
8x12.
8x12.
The new one.
Single slope. We don't want to do single slope, so it'll kind of like push into the hillside a little bit and it disappear.
You have it built or you buying it?
I'm buying off site,
Yeah.
Pre-built.
pre-built.
Or well, built to order essentially, isn't it? Or is it all?
Yeah, it'll be built to order.
Well, yeah, but yes, it's built to
It's a
order, yeah.
prefab thing.
Yeah, that's just it's their standard build, so.
There's a reason why you're not going a little bigger. You never have enough room.
Well, there's just not a lot of space down there in general.
Okay.
So we don't want to take up too much of the public space. And ultimately, we won't want to store too many things down there because there's really not security down there. We can't put cameras, there's no electricity.
I'm sorry, what's the footprint of the 2 sheds versus the 1 shed we're gonna, I mean, together they're about the same.
Together, they are about as long as the new one will be.
Mhm.
So them together, sitting side by side, is about as big as the new shed will be. It should basically fit in that spot. Pushed back towards the bank a little bit and just kind of sit back in there.
How high above floodplain is?
I don't
Well,
know
the high
how high
water
above
mark
it's
is-
well enough.
It's well above the high water
It's well
mark.
above the high water. Who knows what the flood.
So sorry, what were the estimates?
There are 2 in there in our board packet.
So it's the Backyard Outfitters.
And that's
The other one?
$3,361. And the other is Heritage Structures. And that's $4,627.
And that's both for an 8x12 with a,
Mm-hmm.
one single slope directly.
Yeah, and these were just the Backyard Outfitters is the Empire Sheds. That, so funny story is that I knew the Empire Sheds was up in Himrods, my mother-in-law lived up there, so I pass it all the time, so we drove up there to just walk around and look at the options. And then we were talking to Justin on the phone on the way back, and he said, well, we should check out that place in Montour Falls too, and we're like, oh, well, let's go down to Montour Falls, and we go to Montour Falls, and it's like, oh, it turns out it's Empire Sheds. And then he's like, I have a quote at home, it's from Auburn, and we're looking up where Empire Sheds, no, they're in Auburn too. So, but we would entertain, like, I contacted some local contractors and they're all not interested.
My in-laws had a shed built by an Amish guy, festival, and it was cheaper than a off the rack shed.
Yeah,
So I can give you his contact.
that'd be great. I wouldn't, because I think we could get it cheaper.
I was surprised that a prefab shed was.
Just
more-
they don't advertise, you can't Google them, like, and then the ones we knew, yeah.
I have a comment about the sheds that are sitting in Montour versus other sheds built by Amish people. When we were looking for our shed, which is a 10x12, the supports under the 10x12 we bought up near Romulus somewhere, from Hertzler's, has 5 supports underneath it, and the sheds down in Montour only had 3 supports underneath them. So you want to watch to make sure you get enough support in the floor for what, especially if you think you're going to put the gator or a mower in there for the winter. You want to have a sturdier floor.
That's good. Good feedback.
We can put a pause on this and try to collect more. Now that we said
Yes.
it publicly, maybe someone will come forward.
The other thing is we have to remember. That, like we said, we've reached out and tried to get some quotes and people haven't been interested, so we'll just have to make sure it meets all parameters. So, I mean, we can go either way if you wanna try one more month, and at this point in time, we'd still get it in place before the winter.
Yeah, I don't think there's any hurry about this, it's just.
That'll give me a chance to check the floodplain. The size won't require a building permit, but if it is in the floodplain, we'll have to do some screw-in attachments and stuff, so if it ever does get that high, it doesn't float away.
You mean like into the ground and
Yeah.
physically attach it?
Yeah, I can share what it's needed.
Okay.
With the parts.
Get an angle.
That's interesting feedback.
Did you check with Hertler?
Check with what?
Hertler?
Bertler?
I called and
They-
no one answered, I did it twice and then I gave up. Just rang and rang, there's no answer machine. I didn't have an answering machine pick up or anything. It was just nothing.
This doesn't show. This doesn't show what the support is underneath that floor.
Yeah, I think
That's the only thing I would suggest you really
Yeah, I
make
think
sure,
the-
especially if you're gonna put the gator or a motor.
that is a good point.
I wonder too, maybe we would want a 10x14, which is what the biggest you can put without a permit. I'm just throwing it out there because it is true. I don't think you're ever gonna be like, we have too much storage here.
Well, yeah, we could do that. I think for us, it's like it was just starting to protrude so far out of the hillside that we were trying to make it so it was out of sight, out of mind, and not like you get down to Swim Beach and you're like, oh, there's a shed, and it becomes like the focal point.
The wells do that.
Yeah, I was gonna say the
Well,
wells are
certainly
cute.
do, just right. But yeah, we had actually explored larger ones or something.
So we're tabling that for now.
Because
Yeah.
ultimately we'll have the pole, I mean, eventually the idea is to have the
Sure.
pole barn up top, so
That's
we
true.
won't be bringing things down to the swim beach to store them, except for the lifeguard equipment, the life chairs, all that stuff.
Sure.
All right, move on to t-shirts. We have discussed in the park committee, ordering some t-shirts, which I'm not sure we necessarily have to go through too much at the board level because these are things that are in the budget, so to speak, and we could probably agree because it's pre-budgeted, but there is one that's quite clearly less than the others.
Or
We're gonna disregard the single color quotes, because not everybody gave us those.
So that's the bottom half of the hidden hands one. Disregard that one. And the right hand have. 939.50, disregard that one.
So there's a quote for the Viatran quote is $1,164.50, which is the least expensive.
I've done a lot of shirts of these, and sometimes the least expensive ones are like a terrible quality
Oh,
shirt.
you gotta add the shipping.
I can attest to all.
It's $11.89.50.
All of them. is
Oh, okay.
$400.
Pretty similar.
Yeah, I mean, that's a
The only one that's actually higher, that stands above the rest is the hidden hands, but it's just it's a water-based inking solution, which means that the ink actually goes right into the fibers of the shirt, which means there's no plasticky feeling.
But it's
that
the
is-
same brand.
yeah, all these are for the same Bella and
Same
Canvas.
brand t-shirt.
t-shirt.
Okay, perfect.
I think he was talking more t-shirt quality than,
Oh,
which
That sounds like that's not an issue. Great. Yes, get thousands of shirts.
the reason I was gonna say, the reason we are ordering quantity, we are gonna put them for sale. It seems like we're ordering a lot of t-shirts, but in reality, when you buy t-shirts, you buy a larger quantity, you end up paying less. And so by ordering 100 t-shirts, it's still gonna be the same probably if we'd ordered 50 t-shirts or 30 t-shirts.
right, we were originally gonna do just for staff and board members, and then we had this volunteer group come down and do a bunch of stuff, and I was like, well, and there's 10 people, well, we should give them all a t-shirt. They're willing to come back and do more stuff. And then it ended up being 30, and then I was like, once people start wearing these around Hector, other people are gonna be like, I want one of those, so. That's where we ended up getting to, let's just buy, usually the breaking point is the first breaking point of reduction is 100.
I have to say, I like the idea of the non-plasticky feel. It costs more, I know, but I think it's a nicer shirt to have it
But
like silk screen or
it
something.
would be
$600.
$600
$600 more.
Yeah, I
and this is what the
Yeah.
shirt, so the front of the shirt and on the pocket would have the smaller logo on the top, and then the back of the shirt would have that. And it's gonna be on the green shirt, so the background here is the t-shirt color.
Looks nice.
Cool.
Well,
Do we have to approve this or just the committee decide?
I don't know, we have $2,000 on the t-shirt budget.
Well, if we have 2,000 in t-shirt, we don't need to. Correct, Shane?
Right.
Yeah.
If you budgeted $2,000 on a line for t-shirts, then you're under your budget, so you really don't need board approval to proceed with it.
All right, let's move on. Next item. Campsite markers. I don't see
I
them.
don't have that in my packet.
I sent it to you way early,
Yeah.
like 3 weeks ago.
Hmm. I don't remember seeing it.
Ah,
Well, wait a minute.
no, it wasn't one that was just the quote, this was an invoice. Okay. It's okay, it's not a hurry, we can approve it next month. We're basically, we've been talking about campsite markers for like a good 6 years and. Never really figured out a good solution because the ground is so hard and. We knew we were gonna be doing changes. So anyway, I think we might have actually figured out something.
you're gonna paint a rock with the number?
No, it's actually a marker that marks utility. lines and whatnot, usually they're orange or yellow and they're like this flexible stuff that you can run over them, right? So they just flop down and then they go back up. So, and then they're triangular shape, hollow in the center, so that we would just get mailbox reflective numbers for the campsite numbers, and you can put it on two sides, so you could see it from either angle, coming from either direction. And this is something that the grant that we got, the TAP grant, we're pretty sure will recoup the costs of that. Because signage was one of the things that we put in that we needed at the park. What else? That's all I have. Yeah, we were gonna get not orange or yellow, we were gonna get brown.
That's pretty cool that it's covered by a grant too. We just have to front the money, so that's great.
Mhm.
All right, more signs. You've ordered, okay.
Oh, yeah.
I was gonna say, Mallory, you want to take back over? Sorry,
Yeah.
Oh,
you've run off with your,
We did order some more signs, a no pet sign and a trails, two trail signs with two different arrows, so it can go back to back. These two are from Mech Park. But
Sorry, I'm taking us back a step. Are you wearing one of the Smith Park t-shirts or is this a different?
That's an
Oh,
old
one.
this is the old original,
Is that one have something on the back or is it
No.
just the,
just plain.
so it's a sailboat in a circle on the front?
Mhm.
That's a nice shirt. I can see why people liked it.
It's not bad.
You want one, yeah.
Yeah.
But I like the one with the little camper on it and
Yeah.
I think that'll be nicer.
Oh, yeah.
We saw the one.
Yeah, it's real cute. Uh-huh.
So yeah, the signs are they ordered?
Just today.
Yeah.
Just
Great.
today,
great,
so
That's fine.
they're in the making.
guys.
We had a volunteer day of about 10 people. We painted and fixed the backboard of the basketball court. Rebuilt fencing along the basketball court. Stained the posts that go along the top as you go down to the beach. We were able to get the pavilion at the swim beach pressure washed, and we had 2 lifeguard chairs filled off site.
Quick question,
Yeah.
we were able to pressure wash the pavilion at the swim beach.
I
How
don't
did we
know.
get water there and
He
we,
got volunteered.
He
to do it.
put a tank in his truck.
Okay.
And went down and.
Our volunteer did it all.
okay, so just because we're discussing trying to
Yeah,
pressure wash the upper pavilion and the
Yeah,
water is an
well,
issue.
that wasn't on the list, was the
Gotcha.
picnic tables,
Gotcha.
but it's something that they're willing to do another volunteer day. So for the grant, we have to have, I think it's $2,000 in volunteer hours. So we have probably 2 more times where volunteers will come and so we could put the picnic tables on that list. But anyway, I made, just so people could see before and after pictures.
Oh, please pass around.
So
Good.
you can see these and you guys can look at them afterwards if you want to, but yeah.
Let's see what else. We fixed the south bath toilet. I had plumber Blue Jay Plumbing come in. They basically just realigned and tightened the toilet to the wall. Wasn't anything major, thank goodness. He didn't even have to use parts or anything. So that was a pretty quick fix. Working on a drainage issue we have between site 33 and 35. Mike actually came by and snaked a line for us, which ended up being clear. We were having Schuyler County Watershed to come with a camera and locator. So we're just waiting to hear back from them about that.
They should have time this week. We're just trying to coordinate
Okay.
schedules.
Cool.
so are you gonna try to be there when they're doing that, Jason?
Yes.
I asked them to
Let
let
them
me
look
know.
at that other pipe you identified too,
If
just
you.
while they're already there.
Yeah, absolutely. They're
If you tell Mallory, if you would send a text out to the park committee, just. When they're
Yeah.
gonna be there,
Yeah.
because then we'll at least have the opportunity to go if
I'd
we
be
want
really
to.
interested to watch it.
Yeah.
too.
Yeah.
Okay, we have our Newfoundland dog training group. We had a number of dates approved for them to come and do more dog training. They do not do it at the swim beach, they actually do it at the little pull off area that's down at the bottom of the boat launch. Off to the right, the little picnic green area that's there, that's where they do their trainings. Which is similar but different to the same as when they come and do it at the swim beach. There's several dates there that we have talked to them about. They had a couple extra ones in there, but they were around holidays and we didn't think it was smart to have that going on while there's boat launch priority and whatnot going on. Speed bumps were finally added. Thank you, Highway,
So
Scott.
did they
and them.
pick a day? Cause
Huh?
that, did they pick a day?
It's on there.
It's all those dates.
They're doing all those.
There's 4
Yeah.
days here.
Oh, cool.
Yep.
You might have to put a sign up on those Sundays in
Do you know
the
what-
summertime, just to make sure it stays open for, they usually come early though, don't they?
Yeah, and she actually just emailed me today, I think it was. Asking if they could come even earlier, especially on the weekend days, Sundays, because. Traffic down there can get so busy, so they wanna get everything unloaded and then get their vehicles out of there, so they're out of the way of the boat launch.
Do you know what
area.
time they come?
Oh, like 9, I believe.
I went to watch last year, it was really interesting, so like, I would like to go at least one more
The
time.
dogs
Yeah.
are really happy.
It was
fun
really
watching the
cool to
dogs.
see them.
Yeah,
Wow.
it's pretty neat if you sit and
It's not
watch
one
them.
paddle, 3 people holding on to it, and I mean, it's just, it's amazing.
So yeah, the speed bumps and then. Looking for a nonprofit policy of about 50% off for nonprofit agencies to rent pavilions. I was approached by the Hector Lions Club to rent the upper pavilion and. Think we should have some sort of policy for other nonprofits to rent. So.
So since this deals with finances, if we want to change and create a nonprofit policy that would offer them rentals at 50% off, we need to pass it as a board resolution.
I make a motion to allow nonprofit organizations to rent the pavilions at Smith Park for half off the regular price.
I'll second.
A first and a second. Any other comments?
There's one other thing to clarify with it, just because we also have a Hector resident 50% off policy, so if it's a Hector resident and a nonprofit, are we doing 100% off or are we doing 50% off?
I think it stays 50% off.
One or the other, they can't have two discounts.
Would be actually 25% off, because they get.
Oh, yeah, right.
50% off, and then they get half of that, so you get 25. So you're
Always
only
gets
5
it.
down.
Yeah, but I'd say we keep it at,
One
Either
discount at a
personal
time.
Person or you're a non.
And then as far as the not-for-profits, those aren't just for the town of Hector, those are not-for-profits. that are
Anywhere. Yeah. There's no further
Okay.
questions or comments. All in favor of introducing a nonprofit policy of 50% off for nonprofit agencies to rent the pavilions? Oh,
So I just had a thought. Mecklenburg is getting. Pavilion. Are we gonna just keep it at Smith Park, then we'll focus?
Well, that's a great question. I said Smith Park in my thing, but. I think
Right
it
now,
should be
you
Well,
don't have any.
right now, we don't
Yeah,
have
right
any,
now you have no fees at Mecklenburg Park.
so if we introduce, they'd have to introduce fees, which we'd have to vote on, and then we'd have to decide if it applied. So for the time being, it's Smith Park only.
I think they can get 50% off at the current price, though, so.
Okay, just a thought, okay,
No, it's a good point.
Okay, subscription for our Ring cameras are up for actual subscription, our little free period time has run out. So, we need to have that approved so I can figure out how to get that rolling.
Has that been helpful?
Yes, absolutely.
And the rate, the monthly rate is,
$12.99.
yeah, so.
For each,
Is it for each camera? Or
That's
just on
for the
one?
multi,
for the
you can
package?
add as many on for the $12.99 as.
I'll make the motion to approve the Ring annual fee subscription. Smith Park.
Is it monthly or annual?
Monthly.
Monthly.
Can you get a deal if it's annual? how they work.
Yeah, you might be able to get a deal.
Yeah, I don't know.
Worth checking out.
Usually.
It's
they
worth
do.
checking out, which I would imagine if we get a deal and we authorize $12.99 and we find out a way
You can do it less.
we can
yeah.
do it less, we don't need to reauthorize that.
Okay.
So we have a motion to,
For up to $12.99 a month.
sure.
I'll second.
We have a first and a second. All in favor?
Uh,
All right, let's keep going.
Okay, growth package. This was introduced to us just the other day. It's a new program with CampSpot. I'm gonna try and explain this the best I can. Currently our fees are campers pay a $5 booking fee per reservation if they make the reservation from the website or if staff makes it for them. $2 goes to CampSpot, $3 goes to cover or at least attempts to the credit card fees. If they make the reservation from CampSpot's website, then we lose 10% of the entire reservation. In 24, around 25% of our campers made reservations this way, which is not great revenue. For seasonal extended stays, sites are $2 goes to CampSpot per site per month. With this new service, the new service is offering a 5% flat rate booking fee. It is paid by the customer separately. They'll see a second charge besides the reservation charge on their credit card statement. If we keep our $5 booking fee, but rename it processing fee because it's covering credit card processing fees, there's really no downside. This also includes a revenue management toolkit and personal audit where they include a rate and performance comparison to similar parks in the region.
A quick question, is this still through CampSpot? It's just a different billing?
It is, so what they said is that they've been picking, this last year, she told us that they've been picking up more and more municipal campgrounds. And so they spent the year trying to figure out something that would work better for municipalities, so this is what they came up with. So with this, we wouldn't get any CampSpot invoice anymore. The customer would be paying it directly. We would still get the card points, credit card invoice. You don't get the CampSpot one. So, and they are working on, because I've been harping on them, because we used to have the credit card company, which did the same thing. The credit card fees would get directly charged to the customer also, because it's difficult revenue wise, it's just more complication when the money has to pass through. The customer pays the town and then the town pays the credit card. Municipalities prefer the customer just to pay the credit card company and not to pass through the town's account. So they're working on that for next year, but that has to do with the credit card company. So they did it for their service at least. And there's really no downside actually for us.
It's less.
It'll be less expensive. than
Less
it
on
is.
our end.
That's
Less
less
work.
work and there'll be more revenue, so. Yeah.
Do we need a resolution for this or something, or just information?
It's changing things, so I figured we probably did, I don't
Do
know,
we have to re-sign a contract?
I don't know.
I would assume you would
I would
have a
assume
new
there's a new
I would
contract.
assume you'd have a new contract, so.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If there's no cost involved with signing a new contract, you still need board resolution to sign the contract, to change because you already have a contract with them. If you're gonna change that contract to another type of service, you can need authorization to enter into a new agreement.
All right, do we have a motion for that?
I think Jane just made. Sorry.
A second Jane's motion.
Make a motion, we sign a new contract with CampSpot. For
If
the
required.
5%.
And the new
Flat rate.
service.
You gotta allow the supervisor to sign.
Yeah.
I'll make a
Or
motion
does
that
it
the
matter?
supervisor sign a contract.
I second the motion.
We have a first and a second. Any additional questions about this? Hearing none. All in favor? Aye. Excellent.
Okay, and then, let's see here.
Refunds.
Yep,
Refunds. I lost the copy that you made
I
with
want,
the additional refunds.
Additional from what was on the what-
yeah, I have
Oh, here we go.
two additional ones.
Stores.
Yeah, well, I think I made 2 or 3 to pass around the table, but
Happy Neely and Holly Grill were the two new ones.
We gotta do them one at a time.
We have to do them one at a time, or can we do them?
No, I think you can do them all in one, and in fact, I have them down under the other thing, but that's okay. It's no problem.
Okay,
Can I just
I'll
ask
move them up
again, how
here.
come we have to approve refunds if we have a policy?
state law, if we're paying somebody,
Just
we,
takes a long wait for someone.
it's the way we went through this with the auditors, it's this, because we're making a payment. We have to issue. We have to do it by board resolution. I know it's silly, but it's money,
State law.
All right,
as the state says so. Do we
The
have?
all
auditors,
right.
The auditors say so too.
the auditors say so.
The auditors say.
All right.
I make a
So,
motion to,
Hold on a second, we do have to add a couple, and is the security deposit refund on here?
Wait, that's the seasonal one. These are all the
Okay.
transient.
Okay,
We can do
gotcha.
the separate.
yes, let's do that separately, sorry.
It's okay. So site 18, the camper packed up and
Wait,
left.
no.
Oh,
That's the
no,
first
no,
one on the
do
list.
Transients first,
We're
because
still
we were
working
already
on
talking about.
transients.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Are all the transient ones within our policy?
yes.
So,
So I move we make the refunds to the transients as stated in
all right. So.
Hmm?
It's, all right, so I just need to be sure whose names are going in this resolution.
Rebecca's making the motion.
Well.
Yes, Rebecca can make it. I just need to make sure it's clear which ones are going
Mallory,
in
you
this
wanna read all of
resolution.
these?
Yeah.
Not just transients, because I don't know
Yeah.
who's,
No, I
Jill
know, right.
Walsh for a refund of $361.90. Marie Burns for a refund of $315.50. Jennifer Hetrick for a refund of $167.60, and Tina Woodhouse for a reservation, a refund of $294.80.
And we also have two more that came in, Kathy Neely for a 130.25, and a Holly Brill for a refund of 191.30.
one of these is incorrect.
191.
The.
Oh, the Jennifer Hetrick one. Yeah, no, that's
No, no,
right.
no.
67.
The Tina Woodhouse, our policy is 50% refund. There's no additional $30 off to, or $30. See how it's Tina Woodhouse, it says. total reservation?
That's how they do it.
Okay, that's not what
Because-
our policy is.
This is, I don't understand.
Our policy is 50%. There's no, the $30 doesn't apply with the 50% refund.
I thought it did too.
Well, maybe, I'm
Well, the
wrong.
$30 is the non-refundable reservation fee.
Yeah, I thought that was
And then the
always,
50% is the actual refund that they would get back.
yeah, that's my understanding.
And when I
Okay.
sat down and did the math, $649.60 minus 50% minus the $30 gave me what they have in their camp user
So
credit.
here's how our policy reads, 30 or more days from arrival date, full refund. Minus a non-refundable cancellation fee, just a $30 fee. 15 to 29 days from arrival date, 50% refund. Doesn't also say, and the non-refundable.
But isn't it by its very nature, the non-refundable not coming back no matter,
It's non-refundable.
I mean, it has the. word
Not
non-
typically, no, typically you just do one or the other. But we just have, we have to clarify it in our policy.
Yeah, because
but-
that's the way that's the way Camp Spot is already
That's the
doing
way
it.
CampSpot is doing it.
Oh, okay.
Why would it be
That's-
non-refundable?
I remember Cassie asking me about it when we had a conversation in the beginning, but if it's
Oh, I
set
don't
up that
know.
way, it's set
Well,
up that
I
way.
can go over, the billing page that it shows me. With.
Yeah, let's just get it clarified. I don't, I just remember how it was intended to be set up and I haven't paid attention since then, and that was in 2023.
Well, we could still
so-
approve this because it would
Yeah.
be a lesser refund
Yeah,
if we changed it.
right. I'm just making a
I
note.
second the motion.
motion.
That Rebecca
All right,
made.
so I have Rebecca made it,
Yeah, what
Liz
is it?
seconded it.
We have a first and a second to approve the refunds of the listed transient
There's
campers.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 refunds.
Yes.
Any further questions or comments? Hearing none, all in favor? Aye. Okay, let's do the seasonal one.
Okay, I'll make the motion to refund seasonal site.
Hold on. Let's get an explanation because
Sure.
there is a bit more to it.
Site 18 came to me one day and they decided that they wanted to leave. They just kind of decided that they wanted to leave. They packed up that day and pulled the trailer out. I have handwritten reasons as to why they wanted to leave. If you guys want to look at this, that's. But, so they decided to leave without really any forewarning or anything like that. I have since refilled the site, so there is someone back on the site, but they are requesting a refund.
So, and just to clarify too, it's on the back of this, the refund policy that they signed off on was, for seasonal campers, no refunds after final confirmation of reservation. Refunds of the security deposit are controlled by section 20B. Which is written in there too.
So they're not eligible for a refund, but they are eligible for their security deposit back because they have they left the site without any issues, correct?
Yes. Yep, they didn't leave it in any other condition, so.
So I would make a motion that we refund their security deposit.
That's all?
That's all.
All right, but I need a name.
It's on that sheet there that he's got.
Not
Ian
on the eye,
Fox,
Catherine and Ian.
Catherine, Ian Fox, and
Catherine and Ian Fox,
Okay, wait a minute.
I'm not sure who made the actual payment. I can get that information for you tomorrow, Jane. if
and
you
Cheryl
need.
Taylor.
Agreed.
I'm
Yeah,
not real
'cause-
sympathetic since nobody else has
Right.
complained. And
The name of who the check's gonna be written to needs to be in there.
Right, I can get you that tomorrow.
Okay, so
Do it.
refund security deposit, that's what you're refunding?
Yep,
Are they asking for
Is
more
that
than
$300?
they're asking for a full refund.
Prorated for the amount of time that they were there and for what's left of the season.
It doesn't, I mean, I didn't read all their reasons, but that doesn't seem like an unreasonable request, especially because we already rented the site to someone else.
Well, we did have someone else also request the same week, request to leave because their trailer stopped. Their trailer wasn't working.
Broke or
It was
something.
broke,
Yeah,
and then they requested to leave also, and then they ended up getting a new trailer, and I was like,
Well,
yeah.
I mean, it sounds like they didn't have a sewage hookup. And they
But
didn't
they
work.
weren't-
Well, it wasn't
there's
the
no
garage
sewage
was
hookup.
having a
We
sewer.
have no sewage hookups anywhere.
They knew that from the beginning.
They knew that. From the beginning, they knew the placement of their trailer from the beginning.
and if they didn't, then I don't see, I mean, I have conversation with them. And they had never made any prior attempt to come and look at the site before. Settling on actually spending the money for the site.
Was it 4th of July weekend where the park was at capacity or no?
It was before they were
Like
out.
the week
No.
before,
So if they
And I-
haven't had a conversation with you, there was a world where they could have put in another campsite.
I think that's personally what I think has happened is they got into the campsite they really wanted to be in and left.
Okay.
Because one of the
But they
things,
didn't talk to you, they just kind of packed up and left them.
pretty much.
Okay.
They expressed a couple concerns like the garbage smell and there was one other thing, the dump station having a lock on it. But I personally don't hand out the lock code to the dump station for a reason. Unless
Unless
they
they
come
ask.
ask for it. So, which that was the one day that they came and asked for it, and that was the day they packed up and left. So I don't
And
really
the
know.
garbage has
The dumpster, I
People would
personally
be
checked the
complaining
dumpster.
they're not close to the garbage bins, so people who are closer to the garbage bins would definitely be complaining if the garbage is a problem. But they're not close to the garbage bins.
I guess I feel like if we rented the site to someone else, what's the harm in prorating it and returning it? We've been paid for the whole season for that.
It's not policy.
Yeah, I feel like that's
guess
part
I
of the
feel like
problem that's happening.
Compassion is a policy that we were able to take in this situation. I mean,
Well, I don't really know. I feel like what's happened at the park for years was that the rules. Every request was granted and it became, the rules were actually a moot point. It was just, there was so much flexibility. The rules were all individually based on what individuals wanted. And it's not like when they sign the rules and regulations, they actually have to initial specific, you have to go through now. It's tedious when you sign the rules and regulations. You have to initial like 25 different locations so that you read it, hopefully read it thoroughly. So,
Well, we've got a first and a second.
Yeah, we have a first and second. We've had some conversation,
so,
so
there was a comment on Facebook. Can we read that? In public record? Why is it secret? I mean, that letter.
oh, anybody's willing to read it, it can go on.
Yeah, I can read it. The letter says, it does not have a date, though dates are mentioned in the letter. Which is not helpful for a comparison, because there's not a date on it, but, Smith Memorial Park, Site 18, we have stayed for May and June and are requesting a partial refund for our seasonal camp, Site 18, for the following reasons. One, not having a sewer hookup has become a huge issue due to the fact that the public restrooms are so far away from the campsite. We are two, over 65 ladies who need frequent bathroom availability. Additionally, we are not physically capable of hauling a tote tank up a huge hill several times a week to the dump station. We were not informed that our campsite was not set up so that we could face the lake, so when we are sitting outside, we have to face the road instead. That was 2. 3, the smell from the garbage dumpster is blowing constantly onto our campsite, so we can't even open our windows or sit outside to enjoy the fresh air. 4, one of the toilets in the south facility has been out of order for our entire stay so far. 5, due to the dump station and the garbage gate being locked, we don't have access when we need it. We only just received the new dump station lock combination after going to the office and requesting it on 6/26/25. Again, there's not a date on the letter. We do not feel safe showering in the public facility as there are no locks or safety precautions in place and anyone could come in while we are showering. I was showering on 6/24/25 at night and all the lights went off and it was pitch black in there. It was very scary. If I had slipped or fallen, nobody have known I was injured. Number 7, due to the drainage issues the park has experienced this year, the site became very muddy and wet when we were here in the last 2 weeks of May. I slipped and fell in the mud and sustained a soft tissue injury in my right knee, which is taking a long time to heal. We feel that these issues create a liability problem for both us as campers and for the park itself, so we are moving to a safer, more secure facility today, 6/27/25. This is a beautiful campground, and had these issues not existed, we would have enjoyed being seasonal campers here for years to come. Please consider a prorated refund for the months of July, August, September, and October. We would greatly appreciate your kind consideration. Thank you, Catherine and Ian Fox and Cheryl Taylor.
So technically, they want a partial refund for what they were there for, and then a prorated refund as for the rest of the months. Is how I took that. So I don't
Well,
know how. you
also, I'd like to
go
point
about
out the
that.
bathrooms were out of order for 5 days.
There was one
So
toilet,
they were there for 2 months and they're saying their entire stay.
and it was one toilet.
It was
within-
Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, and the Tuesday.
And it was only one stall.
One
It
stall.
was one stall, there was an extra stall there, and it wasn't busy, it wasn't, the campground wasn't full. And they actually can orientate themselves facing the lake at that spot, that's what the last season ever
The
did.
camper that's on there now
Yes,
has
you can
oriented
still get in there,
themselves so that they can face the lake. So,
that's what the camper was.
yeah.
But we have,
I'm fine
What's
with
the
all.
resolution?
we've got a first.
Okay,
and
so we
second
have,
for security deposit only.
yes, we have a first and a second to issue a refund for the security deposit, which they are owed. And I would like to ask, all in favor? Aye.
Nay.
All right, so the motion carries.
What about anything else?
That was it. Issue them the refund of just the security deposit.
Okay.
And that's it, correct?
Yes, sir.
Oh, okay, we
Well,
have
they're
two,
Approving the, yeah, park clerk.
there's two other,
Yes.
we need to pass a resolution. We changed the hours for the park clerk hours from 20 to 25 hours for the rest of the 2020 season, and we need a resolution to do so.
I'll make a motion that we, what am I saying?
Clerk from 20 to 25.
Change the part-time park clerk's hours from 20 to 25 hours per week for the remainder of the 2025
Jane.
park season. Effective. What date did you change it?
July, was it? Or was it June?
It was,
Was it June 29th?
Gotta have a date.
It was June 28th.
We have a second.
The second,
We have a first and second to change the park clerk hours from 20 to 25 hours for the rest of the season. Effective June 28th. All in favor? Aye. We have had a young man working through a program that was being funded by an outside organization. His program has come to an end. He's been very beneficial to working on the grounds. And so pending civil service approval, I'd like to make a motion that we appoint Zach Wire as a laborer for Smith Park effective July 14th, 2025 at a rate of $15.50 per hour. Pending civil service approval.
I'll second that.
We have a first and a second. Any further questions or comments? Hearing none, all in favor? Aye. All right, thank you, Mallory.
Thank you, guys.
Mecklenburg Community Park reached out late. They were unable to have a representative, so they sent a brief statement that I'm going to read. They had 6 trees cut down and 7 stumps have been removed. 1 stump was missed, but will be cut off at ground level soon. The Friends of Mecklenburg Community Park paid for the stump removal. Landscaping around the play structure is currently underway. Topsoil will be added and grass seed will be placed. And this is also being paid for by the Friends of Mecklenburg Park. Mecktoberfest 2025 is set for October 11th. Please reach out with sponsorship requests. And then the Grassroots Pavilion will be built this week at Trumansburg Fairgrounds. If you have building experience and free time, if you'd like to donate, please reach out to us. And the material for the structure are being donated also by the Friends of Mecklenburg Community Park. That's there.
when Oktoberfest.
October
Oh,
11th.
October 11th. Here's this. Thank you. Code enforcement.
Alright, so for June, we issued 17 new building permits. We closed out 2 permits. The permits issued, 1 was for a deck, 2 electric upgrades, 2 garages, 1 miscellaneous project, 4 roof replacements, 1 shed, 5 single-family homes, 1 residential solar permit, and 1 event tent permit. Issue building permit construction value was $885,000. Completed permit construction value was just under $33,000. Our collected fees for the month were $2,927. All we have tonight.
What?
We made you wait that long.
Thank you, Jason.
Thank you. guys.
Thanks for hanging in there and thanks for answering some of the other questions we did have for you.
No problem. Have a nice night.
Water and superintendent has had an injury and we're waiting to find out if he's going to have surgery. He did, however, submit a report. I'm not going to read the whole report into the record, but I will comment on a couple things. We did have an issue with the PAL skid the weekend before 4th of July, and they were able to repair it with tech support. We've had the issue since we detected lead in some of the samples collected from residences, not in our water system, and we've had to complete 20 lead and copper samples for the first 6 months, and we have done so, and we need 20 more before December, which we will do. The new well project, which has been on hold forever. We've completed everything in Department of Health and we're waiting to hear from them. Everything we reached out to from the Department of Health is taking forever. That's not highway department's, or excuse me, water department's fault. It's just they're severely understaffed and everything is taking months and months and months. One important thing that we discussed last meeting and we now have 3 quotes for is the Burdette Pump Station fence repair. In November, a vehicle in our freak snowstorm in November took out the fence. And we have 3 quotes that'll be paid for by insurance. We have already received the insurance payment.
Do we know how much that was?
How much we received?
Yeah.
It was,
It would have been less than deductible.
Yeah.
but-
no, it was,
Oh, it wasn't ours.
it wasn't ours. It was, but there was a reduction. It was like $6,900 or so. We had the discussion why we weren't getting the full amount
Right.
because of depreciation. But it was more money than the Ballard fence quote.
Do you need a resolution about this?
Yeah,
Yes,
I
to
would
accept
make
the,
A motion to the town board supervisor to sign the Ballard Fence Company's quote for $5,700.
I'll second that.
all right, we have a first and second. Any further questions? That is the cheapest quote. If anybody has any question,
It is for the fence around the water pump for that.
Mhm.
correct. All in favor?
Who seconded it?
Aye.
Jessica did.
Thank you. Thank you.
Might try to read it.
Yep.
I didn't touch it.
Town clerk, tax collector.
Okay, June, we took in a total of $3,591.50. The supervisor received $3,128.24, the majority of that up to being building permits. To New York State DEC for hunting and fishing licenses, they got $385.26. It's a high dollar amount for this year, but somebody came in and bought a young child a lifetime license. New York State Animal Population Control Fund got $33 and Department of Health for marriage licenses got $45. For the water billing and collection report, it's an off billing month, but we did have an insufficient funds check returned for a water payment. So we had to rebill that amount on their account, which was $224.34 and $11.53 to the reserve fund. And we tacked on a $25 NSF check fee. So they got a notice they need to send us a money order or a bank check. There were current penalties assessed for approximately just under $1,500. I have 2 numbers on there because the penalty also got assessed on that account with the return check. So total billing ended up $1,754. Payments collected $34,520.52 to water and $2,803.45 to reserve fund. That's leaving an outstanding balance on all the water accounts of $29,171.42. And then dumpster day. This is my last piece. Dumpster day, I pulled everything together today for the final report because I finally had the bills for React and Sport Outs. So Reynoldsville's donations was $1,289. There were 10 highway guys who are paid. So none of these figures include the salaries that were paid to the highway guys that worked that day. We also had additional 5 volunteers here in Reynoldsville. We loaded 3 town trucks with scrap and turned that into cash for $673.13. Through Sword Outs, we had 2 dumpsters of scrap metal, 2 large trailers, and 2 dumpsters of the C&D junk stuff, furniture, etc.
What is the CMD? What is that?
It's, they call it something in debris.
Okay.
I thought it was R&D.
Well, I don't know, they call it C&D on the bills, so. But it's, yeah, but it's really not construction debris because it was everybody's junk stuff that wasn't metal.
Wet carpet.
So all non-metal junk went in those dumpsters. Lewis Logan Hector Firehouse collected $825.30 in donations. Way to go, guys. You did well this year. They had 5 volunteers and 1 paid highway guy. They had 1 scrap metal dumpster and 6 dumpsters of the junk materials. They also had a swap meet there, and I meant to ask Ann. I know there were more volunteers than just 1, but I only had Ann written down and nobody told me who
I think
else
there was probably 6 throughout.
might have been. So I'll put 6 with question mark. I can send Ann an email maybe. And they took in $303 in donations. But that goes to the sustainability committee, not to dumpster day. Mecklenburg Firehouse took in $140 in donations. They had 6 volunteers, 1 scrap metal dumpster, 3 dumpsters of the junk, non-metal. And they also had a swap meet that at least 2 volunteers were involved with. I don't believe they took in any donations at their swap meet, so. I don't think they did.
Might have been, no, there was, but they might have been to the firehouse.
They might have given them to the firehouse for using the firehouse. So I didn't get any here. So that's all I know. So total cost from Sword Outs was $10,041.98. They give us credit for the metal that is collected. So we had credit off that bill of $1,094.72. So their total net cost that we have to write a check for is $8,947.26. React for the electronics, the bill was $286.50. And the advertising that we put in the highlights and the shopper was $156. So our total costs without highway labor was $9,389.76. Total donations that came in were $2,254.30, and the sale of scrap was $673.13 that we took to Champions rather than going through Sword Outs. We budgeted $8,000 for this event, so the donations and the sale of the scrap actually covered any overages over what we budgeted. So, and that's the whole point of the donations, is to help defray that cost and keep us under budget.
All right, thank you, Jane.
That's it, I'm done.
There is one quick question on Zoom about the water superintendent. No, he did not get injured on the job.
No.
First thing is this building has 2 air conditioning units. One of them we discovered a couple Mondays ago when it was about 100 degrees outside is not working.
That's the one that cools
Cools
this
this
room.
room if you're getting warm in here.
So I knew we would be getting a little bit warm tonight, but it's really not awful. So we're surviving. No, it's just a supplemental unit that actually cools this room when you have a room full of people,
Which happens at court.
because
Yeah, well,
the
it's cooler out tonight
Yeah.
too.
right, we still have the small vents open that you get a little bit of the air conditioning from the other side of the building. And generally, this side of the building stays cool until you fill this room with people. So that's why you're feeling a little bit warm tonight, guys, and I'm sorry.
Well, unfortunately, we were supposed to receive a second quote, but the second quote was waiting as of 4 o'clock this afternoon, still waiting to hear back from his supplier. We have 1 quote to install a mini. We were supposed to get a quote from him to put in work it through the air handler too.
Yeah, but I think the only thing that he said to me is to get a unit that can go through the air handler that's in the furnace room would be far more than a mini split.
Okay.
So I have no idea.
Gotcha.
But he just indicated it would be far more and he thought these were pricey enough.
We have two quotes, one for heat and air conditioner and one for air conditioning alone. It's my opinion, since that even in the middle of winter, we tend to have the window open back here. This room is plenty warm. We don't need to add additional heat to this room.
Yeah.
So if we were to move forward based on one quote, we wanted to finish this tonight, we should take the air conditioning only option.
I had a question about that. If there are plans to build a new town hall, would this be something that would be transferred over to? It'd be relocated?
Highly unlikely,
Okay.
because I'm sure some type of central system would be put in that would be appropriate for the, and
And
that's
they
it.
tend to be scaled for the building. I asked when we put the Smith Park one in,
Yeah.
and they said like they tend to be scaled for the building you're putting them in, so you'd have to have a building a similar
Same size,
size.
which
There
is what we don't.
would potentially be the option to sell it on the second hand.
Okay, yeah, no, I was just wondering, but.
That's a fair
cooling
question.
or Cooling and heating. or
That's a
whatever.
fair question. So really as a board,
Might be a stupid question, but will like a window unit do the job for the few times?
no, that's not a stupid question, really.
Just in terms of like, hopefully we'll build a new town hall.
That's 25 years.
Well, hopefully it won't take that long, but yeah.
Or for the remainder of the season, and we could potentially, I don't know, what do you think of that, Jane?
What?
A window,
For this one, there's
yeah,
We have a window unit that.
Your
doesn't
problem with
allow
a,
us-
right, but the problem with a window unit, when you're sitting in here and you're trying to record this and report, that's gonna be right behind you, because that's the
That's-
only window here.
Or
that's,
in the supervisor's office with the door open. That'd be much quieter.
Yeah, but you're not gonna get the heat out, you're not gonna get the cool air to come out here.
This was just saying she has one unit that does the whole house though, right? Yeah.
I
mean,
do the downstairs of my house with one unit and the
Well-
upstairs with one, but it's, I'm a more open concept, not.
ours-
Not where, yeah, I don't know.
I'm just
Ours is
asking.
600, it's not downstairs and upstairs, it's just one floor, but 600 square feet plus another 700 square feet that we just put on. And we were surprised that the window unit actually still cooled the entire house,
But I do see that if it's in this window.
but it would be
it's
too
gonna
loud.
Hold
She's
court.
right.
It'd have to be.
It is loud.
Supervisor.
Yeah, but for security, you don't leave his office open.
Right, you,
It could be in the court, have a window. There's a court. judge on the-
yeah, it's
So-
right behind the desk.
once again, though,
Yeah.
there'd be a security issue with a window unit.
Well, yeah, there would be a security issue with a window unit and keeping,
Mhm.
because all the windows are locked. You wouldn't have a way to lock the window
Right.
with a window unit.
Yeah.
So,
Make a motion for the AC only option. For our said heat problem.
I'll second that, however, what do we,
Wait, well, let's say we have a first and a second, and we're open for comment or questions.
Do we
so
have enough? I mean,
we need another quote.
yeah.
Yeah, we should have another quote, so we could,
Let's suffer.
yeah, let's double check the,
I got the,
It's below, I thought it was, we raised the.
we did raise the numbers, but.
Over $1,000, you need two quotes.
Okay, $5,000 to $10,000, you need an oral RFP or two oral or written quotes. You basically have two for,
Don't worry
yeah,
about
somebody
that.
knocked that off last. Somebody.
Thanks for
knocked that
coming
off
tonight.
last.
Yeah.
So you basically do have two quotes, because you have one for air and heat, you have one for air only, but you don't have a second one for air only, so. And we've been waiting for over a week for this second quote. And he keeps telling us his suppliers haven't answered him.
How's the heat system?
The heat here heats the whole building fine,
It's serviced every year?
yes.
and honestly, like I started to say
It's
earlier,
propane heat.
this room gets so warm in the wintertime that we often open the
We'll
window,
often open a window in the middle of the
you know, in
winter.
the middle of winter, so that's why I was,
Well, the only reason why I'm asking is if you had issues with the heating system.
No,
That
the
makes
heating
sense.
system was replaced
yeah,
a
that was
few years
replaced a few
ago,
years ago.
so, no, we're good that way, David.
Alright.
There just doesn't seem to be quite enough air that comes out. Tonight, for court last week, because we had 30-some people in the room, I actually stuck a little fan on the floor right in the doorway of the judge's office, and it blowing out that way across the room. And it didn't interfere with the recording of court, because all of that is recorded through the court laptop. It didn't interfere with that, but it did keep enough cool air moving in this room that it wasn't a problem. But for tonight, I wanted you guys to see what does happen when we don't have a second air conditioning or something, or some other way. I mean, we can probably get by and for the rest of the summer, I don't know.
Well, could we do something like accept this dollar amount, or, and then if we get the other quote in tomorrow and it's less, then something like that?
You could pass a resolution
Up
to proceed with an AC only unit at a cost of not more than X number of dollars.
Okay,
And if you put it at
6,500.
or 64,
Yeah, 6,400.
put it at
So I'll make a
6,400.
motion that we accept, a
So we
quote,
have
not
motion.
more. What, did we?
Yeah, we have a first and a second.
We have a
Oh,
first and a
Well, I'll
second, so
just
we,
mod mine that
Yeah, let's-
to include
Okay.
the $6,400 cap, not to exceed $6,400.
Thank you. And you still
I'll
second that?
second that.
Okay. We have a first and a second to approve an AC only installation not to exceed $6,400. All in favor?
Aye.
And just from a money standpoint, we'll be charging the court for this
Sick.
because they have they have a large history of not spending through their equipment line, and so it makes sense to put it on the court.
right, or at least part of it on the.
Yeah.
Oh,
So when
Yes.
you're hot, court's been saying.
I
And
mean, we managed all right last week, but it wasn't quite as hot as today has been, so. Okay,
can we go into executive session now before we do the last two things?
do you want to do the broadband thing first?
Yeah, let's do the broadband
And
thing
then-
first.
Okay, if I could have put them in a different order,
Yeah.
so. Okay, so, we received an invitation to comment, and please reply by July 28th, 2025. For an Empire Telephone broadband permit project. The USDA Forest Service is initiating an environmental analysis process for the Empire Telephone broadband permit project pursuant to the National Environmental Policy Act. They would like comments on the project proposal to authorize the installation of approximately 1,192 linear feet of new aerial fiber optic cable on to 4 poles to bring service to the Burnt Hill Communications site on Matthews Road. The proposed right-of-way width would be 10 linear feet and area of impact would be 0.27 acres. The project is located on the Hector Ranger District Finger Lakes National Forest within the town of Hector. Was a tower up there. They are in the process of taking down and installing a new tower up there. Off of Matthews Road. So basically, if anyone wants the information, they can contact me. I can email them this
Well, this letter here
information.
today is for the town board to
If we,
issue comments if they want. But this is a public letter. We can share this letter with anyone asking you.
Right,
They can make their comments.
right.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. I can,
Oh.
yeah.
Well, I thought you were saying, give me your comments and I.
No,
Oh.
no, I can, if anyone wants this information and how to contact,
Yeah.
I can supply them with this letter because they want to hear any concerns or issues or suggestions by July 28th. They want your name, address, telephone number, and email address. The project you are commenting on as the Empire Telephone Broadband Permit Project. Site-specific comments about the proposal along with supporting information and rationale you believe will help identify issues. Or any concerns about environmental effects associated with the proposal.
Did you say that it's 10 linear feet and an area of 0.27 acres that will be impacted?
Yes. Yes, it's a small area. It's basically probably coming.
Does it say 4 poles?
Yeah, it'll be, yeah,
Goes through the pastures.
I think from Murt Hill Road to the tower site.
Yeah.
Yeah,
All right.
so,
Thank you, Jane. If anybody has a question or wants to make a comment, Jane can supply you with the necessary contact information. From here. I'd like to make a motion that we go into executive session to discuss a pending real estate transaction.
how long?
Second motion.
No longer than 15 minutes.
Closer to 7.
Yeah.
Should I, end the meeting or should I?
Pause it if anybody wants to stick around, and
Because we after that.
we have one brief thing after that and we'll be done.
It's still broadcasting, but it's not recording, so just so you know, anything you say, people on YouTube might hear you say. We going in your?
Yeah. Into the supervisor's office. Amazed.
Take the dirty.
Nice full glass of air.
Great.
Here.
We're good, how are you?
Crazy.
Have a good night.
That's what it is. It's normal.
Take care.
Yeah.
What do you think? Yeah, sorry, I'll be sitting right here.
We're gonna be on.
We just got us,
That's not something for-
just a second,
I only have.
like he's wanting to know where I want to be.
Facebook, email, none of
I
it.
got a text, social media.
No. Man, you gotta,
Yeah, Ike knows what I want. I just sent you a text.
what are you getting?
I'm getting a chef salad. He knows what I want, so
Jeez.
you tell him what you want. Because
Oh,
I'm hoping we can be out of here by 9:30, but we're not gonna get there by 9:30,
how
so.
about a cheeseburger for me?
Cheeseburger for you, are you coming? You can ride down with us,
Where are you going?
Landon's,
Where?
Landon's,
Where the hell land?
Watkins.
That's too far. Seen anything? I seen a nice buck the other day crossing up by Dodge.
I have not got a camera out up there.
Like, way out past.
Well-
Shit,
I can tell you, he should be.
probably from last year, oh, definitely.
Oh, yeah. He should be. If he survived from last year,
Yeah, there's,
he definitely should be well out past his ears.
yeah, he's a nice one.
Because he was probably a 10 last year. I
Oh.
don't know. Here, this was him last year, I think, probably. I can blow him up for you. I said he should be tall and out past his ears. Little son of a
Did
gun.
you ever, was your cameras working last year when I walked up there? I saw one of your cameras and I waved to you guys.
I think one of them was not. I don't know which one, but there was one that wasn't, I found it off at one point.
Yeah,
And I don't know, but we had some problems with some people. Wandering through the woods. And Chad was. Kind of keeping track
Irish, have anybody hunting on his land this year?
on Chad's.
No, Irish.
Irish, I don't know. He had people hunt last year, I think, but I don't know.
Somebody from Bergen's.
I don't know, I have no idea. But somebody was walking through the farm's woods, what was Dad's. Just walking and talking and whatever during hunting season, and we have no idea who they were. And then there was a van that kept stopping along the road out front. And I put a camera on the hedgerow, I could see the van a couple of times, but nobody ever got out of it and walked past the camera. So Chad was keeping track of.
Have you heard, to the grapevine, Bergens by, Dodge County? That's been going around.
Don't forget, you're gonna be taped, you're gonna be on live.
Have you heard that?
No, it's
I'm just
paused.
telling you, whatever you're talking about is gonna be on.
No, it's paused. It's not.
What, taxes are going down 15%? Really? I was just curious. But this,
I didn't hear what you asked.
this windmill thing's a big thing. Or-
Well, yeah, but everybody but the town's getting letters. I haven't got any at home,
I was gonna come to the last board meeting, but I wasn't up to snuff, so.
but you aren't the only one that's got it, and all it says is east of Seneca Lake.
Yeah, well, Scarlet County has been approved.
It says, yeah, but approved by who?
Well, that's what I'm saying, that little test tower. Many years ago, and I know that whole hillside across my house. Got enough wind to put one. And this guy here told
They've
me.
done wind tests on Schuler Road before, and on Schuler Road, there's not been enough
No,
wind.
they're gonna go across that ridge, but. This guy told me the town of Catherine.
Yeah, I would think it's in the town of Catherine, not in the town of Hector,
That's the far end of
because
Carl
our,
Feats' land.
right, because our tall structures law is gonna make them jump through a ton of hoops.
Oh, well, he
Because
was
they're not
telling
gonna
me,
get something that high.
he was telling me, shit, I didn't realize they were that high until this guy come talk to us. And he said he just came from a board meeting. I forget where the hell it was, downstate. And they've been working at this for 9 years, and they haven't been approved yet. But they're
Well,
pushing.
but if they're telling you it's been approved by, it's been approved by who?
Maybe the state.
'Cause they
That's not
haven't-
what they're saying.
Yeah, I mean.
Because they haven't come to us at all.
It doesn't matter if it gets turned over to the state. These laws mean nothing.
I just wanted to bring it up tonight. Said, you know, on the road.
Yeah.
Squeaky wheel gets the grease. Squeaky wheel gets the grease.
Well, he did say this, kind of nice, I guess, in the next spring.
You know.
So we don't get. Say.
Well,
That's what's been going around.
there's a process within that. To between.
I know what that is.
Yeah,
But I just. I was.
there's more to it.
Yeah, there's a
Oh,
whole lot
I'm
more to it.
Oh, I'm sure. You know, I bought, Sam Russell had a brush hog for sale, and I went down and bought it. And Kenny Russell bought it in 1991 from Bill Dodge. I mean, it's got the receipt and everything.
It's made a good.
So it's just going around the block. It's
Yeah.
just going around the block.
It's not
I
that
bought
way,
it.
be back up there soon.
I bought it, but I didn't do a lot of work to it. I just got it, I just used it yesterday for the first time, but there's things on it and. Luckily, Dan Thorpe, he's got a press and everything, so he. You know, I learned a lot, but he does it all the time, you know.
does.
Great guy. I'll make a motion to use the meeting.
It's been a while, Dave, but.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. Yeah, we came out on work.
I'd like to make a motion to return from executive session.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. And the last thing on our agenda this evening is signing the agreement with Municipal Solutions. They're financial advisors that work specifically with municipalities that are attempting to make large scale purchases The town has discussed. Did I skip something?
No, I just didn't catch who made it. and who didn't.
Oh, I apologize. I made the motion and Mike seconded.
Thank you.
Uh,
I just can't keep up.
Municipal Solutions, we've worked with it, the town of Hector's worked with them in the past. They assist with bonding, for example, and we actually use them when we put in the new water meters, which we only have 1 year left to pay that off, which is pretty cool. The town has been discussing loosely within the confines of the highway committee, the purchase of some larger municipal highway equipment that is quite expensive. And the town has, upon occasion, been discussing the purchase of possible property for a new highway garage. If we were to move forward with either of those, we'd need assistance in securing financing. And so I'd like to ask permission to sign this agreement with Municipal Solutions.
Make a motion for the town board supervisor to sign the municipal solutions contract.
There is no cost to us unless we move forward with it, but before they will prepare financial examples, I guess we could say, we need to sign this for confidentiality.
I'll second.
We have a first and a second. Any further questions or comments? Hearing none, all in favor? Aye.
Motion to adjourn.
Have a second?
Seconded.
All right, thank you all. Thank you very much.